Do you know what Gougères, Eclairs, profiterole, and cream puffs have in common? Well, they're all made with pâte choux, an unusual dough that puffs up light and airy and golden brown. Today I'm transforming it into 3 spectacular filled desserts. Pâte choux swans, coconut eclair, and pink croquembouche. Plus my guest, Danielle Alvarez, is here to show us how big can be better. All today on Martha Bakes. Are you looking for a way to really surprise your guests and wow them at your next dinner party? I can't think of a dessert more delightful than a bevy of ice cream-filled pâte choux swans floating in a pool of chocolate sauce. Kind of a retro but interesting dessert, and they're not very difficult to make. First off, you have to prepare a parchment grid for your swan bodies by measuring every 3/4 of an inch or so, 2.5 inch, and leaving about an inch in between so that you'll get all the same size bodies for your swans. These are white swans, and they are tender and delicious and have a nice open body so that you can actually fill the cavity with either crème pâtissière or ice cream or whipped cream. So there's your little grid. And just put the grid, a piece of parchment paper, right on the bottom of your baking sheet. Pencil side down. In a medium saucepan, this is about the right size saucepan, add 1 cup of water, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 stick, 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And just put this on high heat and get the butter melted. And we're going to add to this, as soon as it melts, flour. This next step of adding the flour and cooking it slightly is very important in making a good dough. So 1 1/4 cups, and stir until all the flour is completely dissolved. You can see there's a little film in the bottom of the pan. That's what you're looking for. Now, don't overcook it. Now pour this right into your stand mixer. What we're trying to do by mixing is cool the pot. We don't want to put the eggs in when they are going to seize up and the whites will really cook. So just cool it off. I think it's cool enough. So you add the eggs 1 at a time. See how slippery it becomes? And you think, oh my goodness, it won't even incorporate 1 egg, but actually it incorporates all 4 eggs very nicely. So here's your beautiful dough. Look how silky and gorgeous it looks. Now use 3/4 of this dough in a pastry bag fitted with a 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch round tip. And the rest should be in a pastry bag fitted with an 1/8 inch tip. That's for the neck of the swan. I have some already filled, and I have my templates on my baking sheets. And we will first make the bodies. Now watch the shape of the bodies. It's bigger at the top. It takes a little practice. There, now at the very last one, I got exactly what I was looking for. So don't fret. These will all turn into swans. And now for the necks. We start with a little bit more for the head. So they're basically reverse S's with a larger head. Now we can make the swan's heads look a little better by taking a toothpick and just pulling the beak out. Already that looks more like a swan. Now brush your pâte choux bodies as well as heads and necks with an egg glaze. Get the bodies right into your 450-degree preheated oven. Bake them for 10 minutes At that point, you're ready to put the heads in. Then you reduce the oven heat to 375. So here are our swan bodies. Look how beautiful they are. Golden, airy. Let them cool completely before you fill them for dessert. And this should be done as close to dessert time as possible. You, with a serrated knife, cut off the puff. Then cut this in half very carefully. Don't crush it. This will be the wings. And you see there's a very nice cavity in each of the puffs that will hold the beautiful scoop of ice cream. This is like a very serious profiterole that we're making here, a swan profiterole. It's nice to have a very good chocolate sauce. So I'm heating 1 cup of heavy cream until it is quite hot, not quite boiling. And I have 6 ounces of semi-sweet best chocolate. Put your hot cream right over your chocolate. And this is a basic ganache recipe. Ganache, also French. It makes a very good chocolate sauce. Now to make the swans, just scoop a lovely scoop of ice cream right into a swan body, like that. Affix the wings, like that. They go right in very nicely. And choose your appropriate head and neck. It does look like a swan. A little bit of chocolate sauce right in your beautiful serving bowl. This is the lake, the swan's lake. And a little bit of confectioner's sugar. And there you have the most beautiful swan. Enjoy. The recipe for pâte choux reputedly was developed and perfected in the 19th century. It's been speculated that the Eclairs, popular the world over, was first made by Marie-Antoine Carême, the great French pastry chef. To make the filling for our delicious Eclair that we're going to be showing you today, in a medium-sized saucepan, mix a 1/2 cup of sugar with a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, a cup of toasted sweetened coconut. And to toast coconut like this, just put the sweetened coconut right out of the bag on a baking sheet in a low temperature oven and watch as it turns this beautiful colored brown. Do not burn it. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Mix that around. And now for the wet ingredients, 1 1/4 cups of whole milk, 4 large egg yolks, and I like to beat them up a little bit before I add them to the milk. A 13.5 ounce can of unsweetened coconut milk. Coconut milk has some solids in it, so make sure you get them all out of the can. And some vanilla, 1 teaspoon of the best vanilla. Mix that all together. Add that to the dry ingredients. Stir constantly, cooking over pretty high heat until it comes to a boil. Then stir and cook for 2 minutes. If necessary, reduce the heat a little bit. This looks very nice and thick. And now you can strain this through a fine sieve to remove all the lumps and the coconut itself. So scrape all the nice cream off the bottom of your strainer. Just neaten up your bowl and let this pastry cream cool. Cover with some plastic wrap and put it right on top of the pastry cream. That way it'll all stay nice and tender, and refrigerate it until well chilled. That's going to take at least 4 hours, and you can keep it in the refrigerator for up to 2 days. Put your pâte choux in a piping bag fitted with a 1/2 inch open star tip. This one is number 826. So draw crosswise lines on a piece of parchment paper about 1 inch from the short side. Place the template pencil side down, and you can dab a little bit of pastry right on the corners. This will prevent the paper from blowing up in the oven, especially if you're using a convection oven, which I usually do at home. It really does work. And then holding your bag at about a 45-degree angle, there. So continue piping, but you can get this right into a 400-degree preheated oven, bake for 10 minutes. Then reduce the oven temperature to 350 degrees and continue to bake until they're evenly browned and firm to the touch. That's about 20 to 30 minutes more. This pastry cream will go right into a pastry bag fitted with a filling tip. And this is a filling tip number 230. So you can insert it to go one way, and you feel it kind of fill, and then you can just reverse and fill the other way. And you'll feel the eclair get substantially heavier as you fill. And these can be put on a parchment-lined sheet. And the eclair is nicely filled. And now for the glaze, 3 cups of 10x confectioner's sugar and 1 small can of unsweetened coconut cream. A can this size is about 5.4 ounces. And the coconut cream goes right in, more delicious coconut flavor. And this should make a perfect smooth glaze for the tops of your eclairs. You don't want a lot of bubbles in this, so the less whisking the better, but you do have to get all the lumps out. Take your icing and apply it in a nice long swath right on top of the eclair. And there, that's what you want. A nice stripe of glaze right on top of your eclair. And if you want to further embellish, add a little bit of the toasted sweetened coconut on top. Make sure you do this while the icing is still wet. If you love coconut, put this recipe on your to-do list. These eclairs are, I would say, decadently delicious. The towering over-the-top confection known as Croquembouche, French for crunch in the mouth, is one of my very favorite things to make. So I thought I'd add some color from top to bottom. This recipe uses the same pâte choux recipe, but the dough is piped into puffs. The size of your croquembouche mold will determine how many puffs you actually need. And then each puff is colored with a topping of something called craquelin. This is the craquelin recipe right now. 1 stick of unsalted butter, so 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, a pinch of salt, and I want this to be a pink croquembouche, so I'm just going to add 1 drop of pink food coloring. A disc of this dough is placed right on top of each pâte choux puff before it goes into the oven. And it's a nice trick to fancify regular cream puffs. So there's your beautiful colored dough. Press it on a piece of parchment paper and roll it between 2 pieces to a thickness of approximately 1/8 of an inch. Put this on a baking sheet and chill it for at least 30 minutes. And I have one that's already been firmed up. And I'll show you how to cut out 72 rounds for the puffs, the first batch of puffs. So now, pipe puffs. And I'll show you how to get rid of the point. Just a little moisture on your finger. You want them as round as can be for this particular recipe. You'll need 4 batches of pâte choux to make at least 144 puffs. And then top with your craquelin. So cut out circles that are just about the right size for your puff top. Very nice. And now you can lift up the little discs, and each one is placed right on top, like that. So this is an unusual and interesting technique. This looks kind of cute with the pink tops, but they'll look even more beautiful when they bake. And craquelin means crackling, and you'll see what I mean by crackling. I'll continue topping all the pâte à choux puffs, bake them off in a 400-degree preheated oven for 10 minutes, reducing the temperature to 350, bake until golden brown and the topping is completely crackled and crisp. And that'll take approximately another 15 minutes. Just keep repeating the process until you have 12 dozen. So now we're going to make the filling for the puffs. In the bowl of a standing mixer, set over a pot of boiling water, whisk 6 large egg whites. Put them right on top of the simmering water and add 1½ cups of granulated sugar. What we're doing here is melting the sugar into warmed egg whites. So now the sugar is melted. This gets set right on the mixer. And you beat the egg whites until they're completely voluminous and cool. Very important that they be cool and stiff. And so now is the time to start adding your butter. 4 sticks, about 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time. And once all the butter is incorporated and everything is ready to pipe, we're going to add 1 cup very finely chopped strawberries and 1/3 of a cup of seedless strawberry jam. This will give a lot of flavor to the puff. Now, these are the craquelin topped puffs. They are utterly beautiful. I love how the pink crackle looks, with a beautiful interior ready to fill with the buttercream. So that one's for me. And here's our buttercream, a large piping bag fitted with a star tip. And I like to do right in the bottom a nice filling of cream. And just continue to fill until each puff has a goodly amount of Swiss meringue buttercream inside. This is a special mold that allows you to make the perfect pyramid. And what you do is dip the bottom of your puff into hot caramel. The caramel is your glue. It holds everything together. And I'm going to continue all the way around this beautiful cone-shaped mold. And you can see that other things have been added. I like to surprise with maybe a beautiful macaron, strategically placed to fill a space, or some little homemade meringue kisses. And they stick on wherever there's an opening. You don't want to see that metal frame underneath. I think it's looking really special. This would be the perfect addition to a bridal or baby shower, a wedding, or any very special occasion. Gorgeous. Here to give some insight into the versatility of pâte à choux is pastry chef Danielle Alvarez, who took a traditional appetizer and transformed it into a delicious breakfast treat. What do you love about our subject matter today, pâte à choux?
Pâte à choux is so versatile. It can be used in sweet applications, in savory applications. It's essentially a vessel for whatever you want it to fill it with. Today we're going to be making the Gougères, which we fill with scrambled eggs, and then we have another item which is one of our top selling items, also made from pâte à choux, which is our cruller.
And these are the pâte à choux breakfast Gougères. So they're full of cheese?
Yes, so they're full of cheese. We're actually going to start finishing them right now. So we're going to add our last egg. Let that get absorbed.
So is it a 4-egg recipe?
Yes, a 4 eggs. It's a small little batch that we're doing here for us. And then with the last egg, we're going to add our cheese as well into it.
So what kind of cheese are you using?
We're using Gruyere, our basic pâte à choux recipe, flour, water, milk, and butter.
Oh, so you have milk in yours?
Yeah, so we have milk. I like the flavor. It gives a little more tenderness to it as well.
I see. Oh, okay, so that's the difference between this pâte à choux and what we've been making today, which is water-based.
Water-based, yes. Now that our dough has come together, we're gonna ready to pipe it.
Okay. So you use what size tip?
We use an 803. I like to tack down the parchment when I'm piping. The parchment will start flailing everywhere and mess up
Right.
your pâte choux. So just a little bit to tack it down. Pipe some nice tall, yet still wide. If we pipe them too tall, they're gonna not be able to have a bite size, but a nice amount. It's still gonna grow a nice amount.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah, right? Do you wanna take a try?
Sure.
So we put these in the oven, 375. They're gonna puff up nice and golden, and then just so they're fully golden in color.
Okay.
Right before we put them in the oven, though, we're gonna
Flaky sea salt.
make sea salt.
Yum.
Now we're gonna go into our egg filling. We're gonna take some butter, soft butter that we have here, over a double boiler.
So not in a frying pan.
Not in a frying pan. I feel like this way we're getting to get much softer texture. No brown. Nobody really likes brown eggs, right? And then our eggs right in here. And we're just gonna start mixing it until it's got a scramble.
Should I do anything to the pâte choux?
Yeah, that'd be great. If you can go ahead under and then just poke a little hole. That's the way when we go
Oh, here?
inside. Yeah, just a little
Okay.
hole. So when we fill them with our egg mixture,
Just like that?
it'll be easier. That's perfect.
They are hollow, I can see.
That's a great thing about pâte choux. They're gonna hollow up and you can fill them with whatever you want.
So how many of these do you make every day?
We make about 50 during the week and 75 on the weekends. If we're really busy, we'll have to make a second bake just to make sure that everybody gets their daily gougère, you know?
Now the gougères that are in the oven at 375, how long?
Ideally, depending on everybody's oven, they take about 15 to 20 minutes. Then I rotate them and then do another 15 to 20 minutes, making sure that they're
Well, these are
crispy.
certainly beautiful.
Yeah. Once we get a soft scramble, then we'll add this cheese.
And what kind of cheese is this?
We have grana padano in there and then some pepper jack as well. Turn the heat
And the spinach too?
Yes. So you can either omit the spinach and go plain, or we're
But
going to
I
add
love
the spinach.
spinach. I
Perfect.
love
We're going to add a little spinach. Season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Do you want to add some hot sauce to your tasting, both green and red?
How much?
Just a little splash, depending on how hot you want it. Perfect. And then a green. I love the green one.
Dos.
Dos. Perfect. Look at that. And we're just going to ladle this into our piping bag so we can fill our gougères. You see that cheese?
Lovely.
All right, so we're just gonna fill these guys with these little fruit fillings that you made, and you're just gonna push as much filling in as it can possibly take.
No skimping.
No skimping. Just until it
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. Look at that. It should feel nice and heavy. And there we go. We have our gougères.
So how do you serve these?
So we serve them right on a plate. Go ahead and grab which one you want. The spinach one, right?
I want one of each.
One of each.
Oh, yours are heavier than mine.
You said no
Okay.
skimping.
No skimping. Oh, mine are way too light.
Should we look? Let's look. Let's take a look and see
Okay.
which one.
And a little hot sauce
Yeah.
on the
can't
side.
Can't go wrong with a little hot sauce.
So how do you eat them? You bite into them?
Just take a bite. No,
Oh my gosh.
We'll do it together. See?
Very tasty. Filled with succulent, creamy scrambled eggs. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks all of you for watching. Hope to see you next time on Martha Bakes. Using green frosting and a leaf tip, begin by making the leaves. Using yellow frosting, pipe a dot in the middle to anchor the petals. Then using a U-shaped petal tip, gently squeeze and pull outward in a quick stroke. Continue all around the dot, forming 3 to 4 layers, making the petals shorter with each layer. With green frosting, pipe 3 tiny dots in the center of the chrysanthemum.